What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the spot where we kick back and react to all kind of different things. Alright, so what we got going on today? Time to get in some more science. We're over here at Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson as he explains the international dateline. Which is one of those things, it's like, yeah, I get it. I know why it's there, but I don't really know all the details about it. So yeah, definitely an interesting topic to jump into. So let's go ahead and get into this, see what Neil has to say about the dateline. Let's go.
So Chuck,
yeah,
have you ever thought about the international dateline?
I'm going to say that with great certitude, no, I have not.
But it's kind of a weird place, you know. You cross just one spot on Earth's surface, and then it's yesterday or tomorrow,
right?
And it's the same time but a different day.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a little creepy, right? It's a little weird.
It is.
Just what you never thought about that.
Because to me, I get it that we're in motion, and so that's why there's got to be different times. But I'm going to be honest, it's one of those things that I never get right. And I'm talking about here on this continent, North America. I'm not even talking about leaving our shores.
Okay, you're talking about you don't get time zones right. You have a time zone challenge.
I screw every single time zone up, no matter what email, even when they explain it to me, and then I still screw it up. So I think I have an aversion.
For what it's worth, what prevents me from screwing it up is I rederive time zones from first principles almost every time I think of them. So I say, okay, Earth is rotating west to east. The sun, therefore, rises first for everyone east of us. So everyone east of us has to be later than us than the ones west of us. So I reconstruct that in my head so that I get it right every time.
See, I am too busy for that.
You gotta love Chuck's honesty.
Time is valuable to you.
Time is valuable, man. That is too much time thinking about time.
Okay, so watch this. Do you remember who was the first to circumnavigate the globe?
That was the man who went around the world in 80 days in that balloon.
That's exactly not the person I'm talking about. So Ferdinand Magellan.
I love how they showed the clip of that movie as if Neil was going to agree with him.
Right.
Okay. This is after Columbus and after a bunch of other voyages to the New World from Europe. He goes around the world and returns to the port that they sailed from.
Wow.
Okay. And I think it was actually port in Portugal, but it doesn't matter for what I'm about to describe. So anyway, so they leave Europe and they head west. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a scribe on board named Antonio Pigafetta. Okay, I think he was a wealthy nobleman who was not part of the crew. He just went along joyriding, basically. Okay, but he kept very good records of what was going on.
Well, yeah, that's easy to do when you don't have any work to do on the ship.
Exactly.
So everybody else is lowering the boom and hoisting the mizzen mast, and you over there writing it down. Isn't that lovely the way you did that? Oh, that was wonderful. The men.
You show me that again. That was so.
What a knot! What a great knot! What do you call that knot? I'd like very much to make a notation of that particular knot. Man,
that was basically what this guy did.
Damn.
And he kept track of who died on board because disease would go through the...
Oh, man, that really brings a perspective on, like, captains and leaders and stuff like that. It's like everybody else is doing the legwork. You're just sitting there. It's like, that's one thing to think about it. It's, like, easy to forget they're the ones who got to make the big decisions and stuff. But still, on the outside looking in, or even when you're on the side of, the people doing the work, the boss looks like he's just chilling the entire time.
Crew, and at some point, Magellan was killed by natives on an island that they arrived at, and so Magellan did not complete the voyage because he died. Okay, en route, but the ship made it. as so did Antonio Pigafetta.
Of course. You know Antonio's going to make it. Today I was extremely crestfallen as Magellan himself fell to the ill will of some natives. However, I shall press on.
All right, so here's what happened. So he goes west, and you keep track of what's called local noon. All right? So when is noon? It's when the sun is at its highest point in the sky.
Okay.
Okay? Oh, and that's the middle of your day, and that whatever day that is. And he's marking these days on his calendar. Okay?
Cool.
And as they keep traveling, he keeps track. And he's good at this. Okay? He's a wealthy, educated Italian nobleman. And he's good at it. Okay? They come around the world and come back. He thinks it's Wednesday, and everyone there thinks it's Tuesday. He can't believe it. He's writing. I think they're pulling a trick on me. That
Right.
they want to fool me. They want to fool me. Then he went to check other people, and everyone says it's Tuesday, whatever day of the month it was, and he's still thinking it's Wednesday. And he said, I kept very good notes. I don't know what happened here, and it's just sitting there in his notebook. The confusion of a nobleman's scribe, and it is laid bare the discovery of the need for an international dateline.
That's fascinating because
Dude probably thought he time traveled into the future. Like, how did I do this? How did I get a day ahead of everybody else? What's going on here? Oh, man. It's always the first person to discover something or to come across something. Normally, more often than not, they have no idea. Sometimes they never have an idea, and it takes someone else generations later to figure out what they stumbled across. It's crazy. Imagine being in those kind of shoes, discovering something incredible, but never like being confused by but never being able to piece it together. Somebody else after you has to piece it together. That's wild.
there's no need for it unless you're actually going to make the trip.
Yes, that's exactly right. Like, do you and I give a rat's ass what's in the center of the Pacific Ocean?
Exactly.
Right. It doesn't matter. But if you're going to make the next trip, you're going to make that trip, you need to know it. And he discovered it by accident, which I thought was just so... it's the kind of things you discover when you're very good at... when you're very careful in your observations and in your data recording.
Yeah.
He was being a scientist without even
knowing it. Yeah.
Correct.
And then, of course, for weeks, he still walked around like, come on, man, seriously, what the... Come on, you can
Stop messing with me. Stop messing with me.
It's just us here. Come on, seriously. It's Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday. Come on. How'd y'all all get in on this? Who was? Was it the king? Was it the king? Because he said when I get back, right? Come on.
You said it to everybody.
The king made a declaration. Upon their arrival, whatever day it is, tell them it's the day before.
Pinned up a broadsheet in the center of town and said, "Psst, don't tell anybody."
Exactly. Oh, man. That's funny.
So anyway, and of course, if you go the other way around the Earth, you'd be a day behind.
Right.
So the point is, if you go west, you're chasing the sun because the sun sets in the west.
Right.
Right? So if you're going in the direction the sun is, and so you are adding a whole day to your life as you go around that other people are not enjoying. And so I put it out there. I don't know how many people know that story, but it's in the notes of Magellan's Voyage kept by Anton Pigafetta. Clearly, there's no reason for there to be bias in those observations that he made. He's just checking local noon, sunrise, sunset, and he's counting days. But in other places in his writings, he talks about there was a disease that afflicted the crew, and many of them died, and they had some natives from the island that they befriended and came on board. And when if you die on a ship, you know what you do with the body?
Dump it.
I would say bury it at sea because you know
Yeah,
dead
they just
bodies
toss it
are
overboard.
not. Yeah, they're not very pleasant to be around. Dead bodies.
Yeah, not on your ship.
As
next to
not
your
on
food
the ship
supplies.
as they're rotting next to your food supply.
Right, exactly. So you toss it overboard. And there he writes carefully, and he says, oh, and natives and other non-Christians floated face down, and all the Christians floated face up towards heaven.
That's because
This
they
is
were
in his
going
account.
at, they're going at. First of all, how do you know what's in their heart? Ha, you don't know this, but guess what? I was actually a Jewish person. There you go, Mr. Big Feta. Yeah, I converted. Yeah. Now, why am I floating face up?
So, statistically, I guess that could have happened that way, or
Right.
would your clothing do that? But he was deeply religious, as were so many European explorers back then, wanting to convert the world to not simply Christianity, but Catholicism specifically. And so this is also in his writings. So basically, if you're going to evaluate the work of someone who's an acute observer,
Right.
you want to ask, could they have a bias of any kind before you go into what it is they write?
Right.
And if he's deeply religious, there could be a religious bias. You have to watch for that. But he's not going to have a Tuesday, Wednesday bias. You don't expect that.
Exactly.
Right?
And by the
Right,
way, I'm just saying, it's really not very much of an accomplishment for your particular deity to allow your dead corpse, there's no other kind of corpse, to float one way. See, the real deal would be like, we threw the Christians overboard, and they started to swim.
Well, they popped back up and landed on the deck.
Praise Jesus. Jesus
Or they never got. Wait, or they never got sick in the first place.
There you go. That's even better.
They all died.
I'm not going to say that God favors you.
If he's killing your ass at the same time
Well, how do you
as
know
he's
God-
killing the natives.
How do you know God loves you more than me when, your people die just like my people? My people float face up. Well, what is this soap? What are we talking about here?
That is so true, though. That's like desperation to try and fit your narrative right there. That is true desperation. And the sad thing about it is that people still buy this kind of crap. It's just like, wow.
Soap.
We're talking about soap? What are you talking about? They're still dead. They're dead.
I'm pretty sure they would have thrown you overboard, whether or not you were dead.
Let me tell you something. Before we left port, my ass would have been thrown.
The kind of humor.
Mine included. Although, I don't know. Maybe knowing the atmosphere, I might have just not said nothing. I just been looking at them like, that's just in my head, like, that's dumb, right? I just would have stayed quiet and just watched all this ridiculousness go on.
Were not accepted at the court gesture level,
Let
right?
me tell you something. Off with his head. They probably wouldn't. Let me tell you something. They probably wouldn't have thrown me overboard. They would have tied a rope to my foot and dragged me behind the ship.
All right, so that's everything you ever
blasphemy.
knew, want to know about the International Dateline.
That is so cool, though. By the way.
By the way, we could have put it anywhere in the world, but we had this convenient Pacific Ocean, which is 1/3 of all the world's longitude, but it has to line up with the prime meridian. So because it's the opposite of the prime meridian. And that all worked out because Greenwich, England, all right, if you extend the line around the other side of the Earth, it goes right down the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And you got to avoid some islands that are, you don't want part of your country to be on a different day. So
Right.
if you look at it, I think it has to accommodate Hawaii. It bends
Does
a
it have a
little
little
over to the side
S
and it
hook in
comes
it?
back.
It's got a little. Okay.
It's got little, some movement because it's.
Hold up. I never noticed that before. That's crazy. I never noticed that they literally had to account for the islands because they didn't want the islands to be on the wrong day as the other islands, so they had to do this. Wow. I never noticed that part. That is wild. It's like, okay, you guys can be yesterday, and then all of you over here, you guys are tomorrow. All right, that there we go. It's settled.
It's got little, some movement because it's at the end of the day. Do you really care what, the precise location on Earth?
Yeah, especially if
the 24 time zones are highly fungible, right? I mean, the Eastern time zone is not exactly where the line would be. You include the states that want to be part of that club.
Want to be part of that, yeah.
Right, and hardly anybody lives in the Mountain Time Zone.
And why do we have it? Why do we have Mountain Time?
Stop! Let the people have their mountains.
Colorado, I'm sorry, but
Stop.
why do we have Mountain Time?
So what I'm saying is that has the lowest population, right? And so it's also very narrow. So I don't know if it's a TV schedulers, whatever.
That's
they give the time and then the / Central Time, right?
Right.
So that main time is East Coast, West Coast, and then Central Time. Nobody reports Mountain Time.
Nobody reports Mountain. That's why.
Did you ever notice that?
We have it? No, because
did you notice they don't report Mountain Time?
Oh,
They have to adjust on their own.
Who's there? No one's there. That's why.
Yes, a few people live in Mountain Time. Yeah. There are a few people. I know. The same as like the 20-mile radius of Manhattan, right? But still.
They keep on describing it being so desolate. Now in my mind, I'm envisioning like daylight saving time in those areas. It's just some guy comes in and just moves the dial on the clock over. Like, there we go. Oh, man. Why are they roasting Mountain Time so much? Why am I roasting it? I guess it's fun.
People live in Mountain Time. Just saying. Montana, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Whatever.
There it is. Okay. Mountain Time people, send all your hate mail to Chuck.
All right. This Mountain Time people, get a new time zone. There you go. And then we won't have to have this conversation. You won't be mad at me. I'm doing you a favor.
No, just get more people over to your time zone. Quit being so empty.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck. Oh, by the way, a quick one. There was a TV show. I forgot what network it was on. Zack and Cody. Okay, it was like a
like
show
Nickelodeon
for
or
like
Disney or something.
Yeah, one of those Disney or Nickelodeon. They had an episode where they were on an ocean liner that crossed the international date line, and they turned it into like a Groundhog Day, reliving the incident thing. So every time it went across, it's like the ship flipped back and forth. It reset, and then all the events are happening again, and they got to replay it. So people think magical things happening there, but it's a completely arbitrary place where we put it.
Nice.
We could have put it right down the middle of Manhattan if we wanted, but that would have just been weird. Yeah. I'll see you next Tuesday. Yeah.
That's a whole nother dateline.
I guess so. Very good, Chuck. All right. We got to land this explainer. Neil deGrasse Tyson here. Thanks, Chuck, for being there.
Always a pleasure.
Your personal astrophysicist offering yet another Star Talk explainer. Keep looking up.
All right. Another good one. Another fun explanation. Chuck being silly as always. But yeah, really interesting. I mean, I always figured they put it out there in the middle of the ocean just for convenience. But it was like, I never knew why the line wasn't straight. Now I know. Certain islands wanted to be yesterday, certain islands wanted to be tomorrow. So, that's interesting. All right, well, more interesting facts, more interesting science facts. All right, y'all, so y'all know what to do. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all thought about this one. Let me know what you'd like to see me react to next. Hit that like button before you go. Share this video with everyone you know. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. All right, so till next time, take care of yourselves. And I'm out of here.